I have two daughters, Charlotte, my youngest, and Penelope, my oldest. Shortly after Charlotte was born, I heard Penelope calling from the other room. Mama, Mama! Where did Charlotte come from? What do you mean, honey? Like, how did they get her out of your belly? This is what I came up with. Well, I have a magic button. The doctor pushes it and poof, your baby sister was here. What? Magic's better than reality, right? As I'm saying this, Penelope's eyes are getting bigger and bigger. What? Wait, where's your button? Can I see your button? Oh, no, honey. I really wanted this to be over. Wait, Mama, where's my button? What if I push my button? Oh, Mommy, I'm scared. Being a parent's hard. There's so much pressure, and sometimes we do or say things that really aren't the best decisions. None of us have all of the answers. We're only human after all.
How are babies made? Gross. Why is it gross? Because it's health. What do you mean health? I'm not in 5th grade yet. I should know this stuff. What's so gross?
The dreaded sex talk. Birds and the bees. It's one of the most anxiety-riddled tasks a parent takes on. And let's face it, most of the time, it ends up being pretty uncomfortable for both you and your kid. Since this conversation with my daughter, I have become the go-to person for talking to your kids about sex and their bodies. Don't worry, my strategy has changed. There are not 100 kids looking for their magic button somewhere. I've become a certified sex educator, and now having the sex talk is second nature. I'm going to give you 4 simple tips that'll help you feel more confident when talking to your kids about sex and their bodies. Tip number 1, values. Assess your values and allow your kids to evaluate theirs. When your children know what's important to them, it strengthens that internal compass which will activate when they're making major life decisions. Raise children who feel free to express their feelings and know how to honor others. Creating a safe space for kids to communicate is just as important as teaching them to be active listeners. The word no is a gift which teaches us about personal boundaries. Be aware of the way that you talk about your body. Our kids are always listening and watching. Enjoy and love the body that you live in. They'll follow in your footsteps. Raise kids with autonomy. Allow your children to trust their instincts and avoid forcing them to show affection. This only teaches them that their body was made for other people's pleasure and not their own. You don't have to be the same sex or gender in order to talk to your kids about their body. Normalize these conversations with everyone in your family. Now that we have our values fully realized, how can we be intentional with them? Tip 2, stop thinking of it as the talk. Start early. Children can learn the basics of body knowledge, consent, autonomy, and communication from a really early age. Have ongoing conversations. Care for body parts and use the correct names for genitalia. Model consent with your interactions. Ask your child for permission before you tickle, touch, squeeze, or kiss them. Remember, saying yes is just as important as saying no. Normalize self-touch without shame. Before you react, check in with yourself and assess your feelings. They will react to the emotion that you are projecting. Look for teachable moments in everyday life. Having candid conversations about a song or a TV show that you just saw can help you bring up topics that you normally wouldn't touch on. Avoid labels. Try not to label specific sexual acts or relationships as one identified orientation. Sexual acts do not have a sexual orientation, and romantic relationships do not have a designated label. Instead, encourage your child to figure out who they are without labels. Now that we have removed the daunting task of having one jam-packed conversation, what do we do with specifics? Tip number 3, follow their lead. Normalize their questions. When they come to you, say, "That's a great question." Making sure that you reinforce you are a safe person for them to come to and they are perfectly normal for having them. Listen carefully and don't jump to conclusions. Stay focused on their words without making assumptions on where they're coming from. Ask your child lots of questions to gauge where they are and to keep them informed on the correct information. Questions like, "What are your thoughts or feelings about this topic?" will tie in a value-driven conversation. Check in with them often to see if they understand. Follow their lead. They'll let you know how far to go. Tip number 4, be honest. Share personal stories. Connecting on experiences will not only remind your children that they're not alone, but it'll also create empathy. Don't hide things. Avoiding subjects will only leave your children to get the information from somewhere else. You are their number one trusted source, and you want it to stay that way. Talk about all aspects of puberty, no matter their genitalia. Don't shy away from topics just because you think it doesn't pertain to them. You don't have to have all of the answers. I learned just how important honesty is that day with my daughter. After retracting the magic button and explaining how birth actually works in an age-appropriate way, in my daughter's words, pooping a baby out is a lot easier to understand. As a sex educator, my main goal is to give young people the skills they need to make informed decisions about their bodies and relationships that they can feel secure in. But what's most important is having shame-free support from a caring and loving guardian or parent.